Hello, my love, and welcome back to the show. Today's conversation is one that I believe separates women who are stuck at multiple six figures from the women who step into seven figures with real freedom, what I like to call seven-figure freedom. And I'm bringing it up in our conversation today because scaling your business is not just about better strategy. You hear me say this all the time, right? Strategy you can get online, you can read a book, you can, go to ChatGPT. It's not just about strategy. It's not just about more clients, more visibility, even better systems. And you know that those are things that are necessary. But at a certain point in your business, it becomes about your standards and more specifically, your boundaries. And I want to say something that might feel a little bit confronting, but I want to say it with so much love and compassion. Most of us women have not been taught how to hold the level of boundaries required to run $1 million a year business. And it's not because we're not capable. It's not because we're not intelligent. Of course we are. But it's because we've been conditioned by society to be accommodating. I want you to think about your childhood and how many times you've been shaped to be accommodating, to be liked, to be nice, to be available, to be helpful, to be easy to work with. And gosh, we don't want to be called high maintenance, right? And all of those patterns, all of that conditioning from childhood is affecting you today because those patterns become the very thing that keeps you over responsible in your business. Maybe we can call it overextended and just so enmeshed, entangled in everything that runs your business. And so today we're going to talk about the difficult conversations that you must have if you want to stop being the bottleneck and if you want to step into the next level of leadership. So these conversations are what we're going to call today the $1 million boundary. Let's start with this. There is a version of you that can get to seven figures through effort and care and accessibility and proximity, where you are hands-on, you are involved, you are available to everybody, clients, team members. You are so deeply involved. And that's probably how you've gotten to six figures, multiple six figures. But the version of you who leads a seven-figure business with a feeling of freedom cannot operate that way any longer because at the seven-figure level, your time is no longer just your time. Your time is your biggest asset. Your attention, like where your attention goes, becomes an asset at seven figures. How you use your energy, that is an asset. Your calendar is a multi-million-dollar asset. And if I can just say this, if you don't start protecting it as such, then your business will grow, but your life will shrink. Without the $1 million boundary, without the hard conversations, your business will grow, but your life will shrink. You'll have more clients, but you'll have less space. You can have more revenue, but that comes with more pressure. And eventually you will hit a ceiling. And it's, again, not because you're not capable, but it's because your current boundaries, or lack thereof, cannot hold your next level. And this is what happened to me. I initially grew to seven figures in 2008, and I had a baby in 2009, and I was completely burned out. I had no life other than my husband and my three kids. I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel until I did what I'll be sharing with you today. And I really hope this is going to be helpful for you. So if you don't yet have a piece of paper and a pen, I recommend that you go get that. So let's start with something that many women avoid. And this is a tough one. Like, this was a tough one for me. It's outgrowing certain clients. I even feel so guilty saying it. There are clients who were perfect for you at one stage of your business. They trusted you, they signed on early, they grew with you, you grew with them, and they said yes early. And then something shifts. Maybe their expectations become heavier, or their energy becomes more demanding, or maybe they're just not an ideal client anymore. Maybe they just no longer match the level that you're stepping into. And I remember when this happened to me, I used to run this one program and I decided that I was no longer going to do it. I enjoyed doing it, but I just didn't feel it was worth my time. And when I announced it to the last group of people who joined me for this program, one woman said, "What? You're going to leave us little people behind?" And I was like, wow, I felt guilty, but I also felt like, you know what? This is my business. This is my decision to make. And so sometimes you know that it's time for you to step away and that whoever's with you isn't going to step into that new, bigger future that you're creating for yourself. But instead of addressing it, instead of having that difficult conversation, instead of making that move, you stay. And maybe you over-deliver, or you try to compensate, or you delay the thing that you want to communicate. You tell yourself, you know what, it's just one client, or it's just one program, or they really need that. I feel like I can't communicate that. But it's never just one client or one program, because every time that you allow or you tolerate misalignment, you're reinforcing a standard. And I see this all the time with the women in my signature program. And here's the truth. You cannot scale a clean and powerful business on top of messy, misaligned client relationships where you are not being true to yourself. It won't happen. So there comes a moment when you must have that difficult conversation. I know it's going to feel uncomfortable. I know you dread it, but this is the conversation that says, this is no longer the right fit, or this is how we're going to work moving forward. Or maybe it sounds like, I'm no longer going to be available in this way or for that thing, or I'm shutting down that program. And I know, like I said, that this can be so uncomfortable. This happened to me too, several times at different points in my journey. You're probably going to worry about disappointing them. Okay, that was like a big thing for me because I love and I love to support people. But you might also worry about losing revenue. If you're saying no to a client or you're stopping a program, you might worry about how you will be perceived, or maybe that the clients will speak to each other and judge you and criticize you. The way I talk myself out of that is that 10 years from now, they may not remember you, but you will have stayed stuck and stayed in the same position because of someone who is not even in your life anymore. And yet what you gain from making the change is far more valuable. You have cleaner energy. You have clear boundaries. You're honoring and valuing yourself. And you have the space and the capacity to serve at a much higher level. Okay, so those were the clients. I am encouraging you to have the tough conversations and make the change you know is right for you. Now let's talk about your team, because this is where it can get even more tender for some people. There are people on your team who have been with you for a while, maybe even a decade or more, and they've supported you and they've grown with you. And just like the clients, sometimes they no longer match the level that your business requires. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about this. The team that got her here is not the team that will get her there. She knows it. Even the team member knows it. And instead of addressing it, many women, when I first meet them, do this. They lower their standard to keep things harmonious because they feel guilty and they don't want to rock the boat. And so they don't make the change needed in their team. They don't have that difficult conversation and they stay stuck at the same level because they're not making that team change that they know will create leverage. Because not having the conversation creates exhaustion. And you are essentially betraying yourself to keep the peace. because you're still the one holding the standard. But now you're also holding the emotional weight of the situation. This is the thing that keeps you up at night, looking at the ceiling saying, oh my God, I know what I need to do, but why am I just not flipping the switch and pulling the trigger, right? But at some point, you have to be courageous. You have to have that bold heart and take a step in the new kind of leadership. You have to honor your bold heart, and you have to start saying things that feel aligned for you. That might look like redefining the roles and maybe setting clearer expectations. It can mean addressing the fact that one team member keeps making mistakes and you keep reminding them and nothing changes. And it can also mean letting someone go. And not because you don't love them and not because, you don't want to honor that they've been with you for so long, but from honoring yourself. And just because you owe it to your business, you owe it to your clients, you owe it to your family to have a team that can help you. Because a 7-figure business is not sustained by loyalty alone. Right? I honor the loyalty, but your business will grow and will sustain by alignment and people on your team who are in the right seats and they have shared values and they're doing good, very good work. And when we avoid the conversations, we stay in rescue mode. We stay in what I call whack-a-mole mode. We stay as the one everything depends on. And yet inside, you know that you need to have that conversation. And so I'm inviting you to feel the fear and do it anyway. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. You can have those conversations with love and compassion. You don't have to be a jerk about it. Okay, so we talked about clients, we talked about team, and now let's talk about your calendar. Because this is one of the clearest places where your boundaries are either super strong or completely porous, if you will. If I looked at your calendar right now, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of compassion, I can tell you exactly why you're feeling overwhelmed. Where you are overbooked, where you're being perhaps reactive, where you've allowed other people's priorities and requests take over your time. I call it letting people hijack your time. And here's the reframe that I want to offer you. Your calendar is not a reflection of what needs to get done. Your calendar is a reflection of what you've decided is important. And if everything is important, your stuff, but also other people's requests, then nothing is sacred. And at the 7-figure $1 million a year level, your calendar must include thinking time. I know that your to-do list is very, very long, but you need to think more. Creative time, and you need strategic time. You need white space. And I don't mean just for calls and not just for delivery or working with your clients. We're not talking about reacting to what's already in motion. We're talking about protecting your time, because thinking is one of the best things you can do at this stage if you want to get to 7 figures. If you don't protect your time, then you don't protect your calendar, then you will never have the capacity to build what's next. You'll never be able to focus on exponential growth activities. And this is where the boundaries become really real. It is about, again, being a bold heart and saying, no, thank you, I'm not available at that time. Even if that time you are available for yourself, right? Like prioritizing yourself. It can mean, no, that actually doesn't require my involvement. I don't really need to be in that meeting, even when it feels uncomfortable. And even when you know that you're disappointing somebody, there has to be a time when you have to have these $1 million boundaries, because you're no longer managing your time. You're leading your business. And all of this, as I've talked about in past episodes, comes down to identity. The woman, you, who is deeply involved in everything, who is needed everywhere, who is putting out fires, who is always making herself available, who is always erasing her own time in her calendar to give that time to somebody else, who feels valuable and essential and who wants to be the hero, she is also the bottleneck. But the version of you who scales to 7 figures with lots of expansive time on her calendar is the one who allows herself to step back. This is about you trusting more and delegating and putting yourself more in the position of leadership rather than doing. It's about you having conversations that are really clean instead of comfortable, where you are clear and you are, again, honoring and valuing yourself. And it's about you choosing long-term alignment over short-term approval. And I want to say this gently. You don't become a 7-figure business owner by doing more. It's actually, I tell people this all the time, you actually have to do less better. You become that 7-figure CEO by having more clarity and higher standards and being more truthful with yourself and others, even when it's uncomfortable. And this is why we do so much inner work at Boldheart. We have to shift the limiting beliefs. We have to shift the identity. We have to squash the fears that are creating resistance from you making the moves that you need to make. It changes everything. And this is the rite of passage that gets you from where you are now, maybe burnt out or about to head into burnout, into 7-figure freedom and expansiveness. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, yes, this is me, I can feel where I'm avoiding these conversations, or you're thinking, I can see where I'm still the one holding everything together because I'm keeping that truth to myself, then I just want to say this is your moment. This is not a time to judge yourself, but it's a moment to shift. And you don't have to figure this out alone. I get that this feels scary if you're on your own. And maybe you'd like my help. Maybe you'd like my eyes on your business to help you see exactly where the bottlenecks are. Maybe you want to see where your boundaries need to evolve, what your next level actually requires. And if so, I want to invite you to a business audit and roadmap call with me. I offer a few of these every month. People have to apply. I don't just have them with everyone. And yes, they are free. And this is where you'll answer a few questions ahead of time. And on our call, I'll have already prepared, we will look at what's really happening in your business. We're going to identify your key bottlenecks. We're going to uncover the subconscious mindset or the leadership patterns that are keeping you stuck. And you and I together will map out a clear path to scaling to 7 figures and beyond with more freedom. Like I said, there's no charge for this, but I only offer a handful of these each month. This is my way to connect with our podcast listeners. This conversation is about bringing awareness into transformation. And if you'd like to apply for one, you can go to boldheart.com/call, CALL. I'll also put it in the show notes. So, my love, it is time for you to show up differently. It's time for you to speak your truth, to lead differently and hold yourself to a new standard. And that is the new $1 million boundary, $1 million standard. And you are ready for it. Just got to have a little courage. And I'm here for you if you need me. All right. I'll see you next time.